Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Monday night, 8 p.m. The Live Lounge returns. Myself, Phil Barsley. Boys, don't worry. His Royal Dopiness is on the way, but he's setting stuff up, and I don't know. He said he'll be here in a minute. Boys, see how we're doing?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Yourself?
I'm not going to lie. I am fucking tired. The trip home last night, the M6 was absolutely, not great. But no, all good other than that. Tired, but fabulous week of darts. So yeah, it's all good. How are you?
Yeah, I agree. Fantastic week of darts. As always, as much drama off the Otti as there is on the Otti. And it's not many weekends. There's more and more coming, but another weekend, the three of us together in Blackpool this time. And I know we'll touch up on the seniors in a lot more detail. But it wasn't the only drama across this weekend, or shall we say from Thursday onwards. No,
look, plenty going on at the moment. Let's jump into the chat room. How we doing, Owen? Dal is in. How we doing, mate? Tommy, Malachi, evening. Richard, Adam, Alex, how do? Davey, Bill, Sam. Yohan is in. Daniel, how we doing? Cameron, evening. Paddy, Wim, how we doing? Ricky, Tom, Warren, all in. Kieran is in. We've just shared some links on social media as well, so make sure you share them for us. Facebook and still call it Twitter because it is. So we've shared stuff on there. But look, the darting landscape is forever changing, and I don't think anything surprises me anymore. The stuff that we see on the Oki, off the Oki, gets posted on social media and so on. I don't think anything surprises me anymore.
People are using it more now than they probably ever have done in regards to sharing their feelings. I guess it works two ways for us. It's a positive that players are being more open, but normally that fell on Dessin only ever come your side before from an interview. We now get it from both sides. We get an instant reaction within 20 minutes, half hour of a performance. But equally, we're getting people's reaction at events that you wouldn't normally hear from anyone. For an example, Women's Series this weekend, we've heard a lot. Whereas normally you'd only hear from the five winners. Social media is just, for some reason, 2024 has gone absolutely mental, and everyone wants to give their opinion as soon as they possibly can on a bit of everything.
Yeah, look, I love social media. Oh, I'll tell you what, expert timing. Oh, is he here? Is he not? We've partly got him. We've got no picture. There he is. Yeah. His Royal Highness has decided to join us. So if I do that and then that, others will moan that we're not in the right places. Nice of you to join us.
Would I do that?
Yes. Absolutely.
It's a branding thing, isn't it?
We're just saying there's never a dull moment in darts, mate.
I mean, we open with that line every bloody week, but yeah, here we go again.
Yeah, but every week, we were just saying, every week it seems to get better, stroke worse, depending on your stance and how you're looking at it.
No idea what you said. Now I'm having internet issues. This is a really good start.
we can still hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, look.
We can hear you. We can see you. We can see your frustration. Yeah, you are still there. If you're
still. This is like Big Brother just watching Gob in his natural habitat, thinking that no one else can see him.
Well, I can't see you. It keeps freezing is the issue.
You're not freezing for us.
Oh, that's not good. There we go. Yeah.
I feel like I've joined a 2021 show and not 2024.
Right.
Yeah. Gob's still on AOL dial-up.
Don't live in Scotland. Calm down. I'll pay 80 quid a month for internet, the robbing bastards. Oh, shit.
Jack, I've already told him off for swearing because he swore within 2 minutes. You've swore within your first.
Oh, good. No, but I just told myself off, and now that he's done it, I don't care.
Big Johnny, absolutely. Uncle Barry would be well, he probably still is loving this. Let's be brutally honest. He still calls the shots. Should we start with the seniors?
Yeah.
Champion of champions, Viva Blackpool, the second tournament of the year, the second champion of champions. And spoiler alert, we'll dig into it more. But finally, the Owl has his hands on a seniors trophy. 3 heartbreaks, but in the end, the delight was there. And look, I don't think anyone begrudged Richie Howson winning that title. I didn't mind who won the final, if I was being honest. There was a story for both of them, but Howson doing it was something else.
Yeah, he took his bloody time of it, didn't he? But he is a very deserved winner. Obviously, 3 finals previously. It looked to be starting in the same fashion as the others have gone as well. He does not like leading a final, does he? But he played really, really well. He has been one of the ever-presents at the World Seniors Darts Tour. He's played on virtually every floor event. He's been there every single weekend. I think he's missed 1 TV event.
Yeah.
And after doing that, it's strange to have been so close with a sponsor like the seniors have for so long, but I think that's the people that are involved in Jennings-Bet. But it was the perfect little send-off for Jennings-Bet, for somebody who'd been there since day one alongside them, who'd grown as part of that connection that we had with them to go and win that trophy at that last moment.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. How are we doing, Will? Hope you are good, mate. Evening, Mark. Yeah, look, we'll come back to the final in a minute, but let's rewind. Let's go back to Saturday. The defending champion, Leonard Gates, fell at the first hurdle, comprehensively beaten in a scoreline fashion. But it was a strange game because at 5-0 down, it could have been 5-0 the other way. He had chances to win all 5 of those legs. And if you just look at the scoreline, you think, oh, that was an absolute battering. But towards the end, maybe, but early on, it could have been roles reversed quite easily.
Yeah, there's probably not many games where the Dames won within the first 5 legs over this format, but this certainly was that. The frustration of Leonard missing, but also the confidence of Richie throughout that game just continued to grow. When Leonard then got slightly better after the break, Richie had already found his rhythm and Richie was well away, and you just didn't feel like Leonard was coming back to it. The scoreline is a bit harsh on Leonard because, like you said, Phil, it was due to the number of misses, more when Richie was on a double. So it wasn't that there was massively chat-outs in there, really. It was just that it was when Richie had pressured him, Leonard just wasn't taking those chances, and it became quite clear early on that it was only going to go one way. And for Richie, it was a huge win, even before what went on after the weekend, just because of the amount of times that Leonard's done him on TV and the manner of those matches. It was a huge win for Richie Howson.
Yeah, absolutely. Lee, yes, we will discuss that when we talk about the Women's Series. Anthony, how you doing, my friend? Hope you are good. Jackie is in. Yeah, Leonard's counting. Look, it is. But then today at the Super Series, he produced this ridiculous setup, 153 to leave 36, and he worked out. I'm like, just doesn't make sense. But anyway, we'll come on to that later on. The second game was a classic, and it has been one that we were hoping was going to deliver. We weren't sure it would, but by Christ, did it. Taylor against Adams had just about everything. And look, the standard may not have been 100-plus averages, but in terms of drama and keeping you gripped, it had everything.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this encounter. It's one that and part of the billing and marketing before this was, we've been deprived of this matchup for so long, as often as perhaps we should have seen it. We've been going on for the last few weeks about how we're bored of seeing the same matchups in PDC darts right now. This is one that we've been craving for a number of years, that we only really got a couple of times. That We should have seen a lot more, really. Really good game, played in decent spirits. This is what I think people envisioned the World Seniors Darts Tour to be.
Yeah.
When it was first set up a couple of years ago, it's the big names playing against each other 1 or 2 times a year in dream matches like that. And Phil Taylor will be absolutely kicking himself.
Yeah.
It will, but let's be honest, he also deserves an awful lot of praise because the manner of his defeat in the World Championships, the turnaround of this tournament from the World Championships, and to then put in I don't remember what his average was, but it was at least 16, 17 points more than what he seemed to average in the Worlds. To be able to turn that round and put in a very, very solid performance when a lot of us feared we wasn't going to see another one of those from Phil. He deserves huge credit, but Martin Adams is another one who just falls under that category of legend. I don't like the word being overused, but if you give him opportunities, he's made a career out of taking those opportunities, and he's always a delight to watch and spend time with. And as you said, Jack, there's 2 sides to what the seniors to deliver. These matchups that we probably wanted to see a bit more in the prime that maybe we haven't, and then people who didn't make it early on in their career making a story for themselves, and this weekend delivered on both those fronts. And from the legend aspect, it was Martin Adams and Phil Taylor down into a last lead shooter.
Yeah, people are asking about Raymond. We will talk about Raymond later on in the show. Don't worry, it is on the list. We can't ignore it. Then the world champion departed early, and although Andy Hamilton produced an incredible spell during the middle of that game, Henderson never looked himself from moment one.
He's done that every single time he stepped up on a senior stage. Let's be honest. He walked into Yeovil the other year as the favourite and departed first round. He struggled to get going at the Worlds, despite the fact he then went on to be the world champion. And he's not really adjusted very quickly here in Blackpool either. Look, he's played at a decent standard, one that would have got him very close in a couple of other games, if not would have got him over the line. But this one for me was about Andy Hamilton. He owns that stage in such a way. When he takes out anything at a crucial moment, he lets you know about it, doesn't give you time to settle. And he said, when I refereed for him in Portsmouth, he was here to win it. He said, I feel absolutely great. The seniors give me a new lease of life. I'm going after everything, and I'm going to Blackpool, and I'm going to win it. And obviously, look, we've already spoken about who did win it and who we played in the final, but he came mightily close. And when that first start is in at the moment for Andy Hamilton, he looks back to at times in the Super Series the other week. I said, mate, you look like Premier League Andy Hamilton again. And he goes, I feel absolutely fantastic, and it's showing. But I can't remember who said this to me during the weekend. This game was one that is so reliant on first starts for both of them. And Andy got that first start right far more often than John did.
Yeah, it's going to break off quickly. We'll come back because Paul's not going to be, he's not around for long. Paul, absolute pleasure, mate. Been superb. And no doubt we will see you again very, very soon, buddy. Pleasure as always. Don't be a stranger, but enjoy the pub. Go on, Boise.
No, I wasn't saying this one. Do you think that the Andy Hamilton motivation, the short-term motivation here, Dob, just on the point you were saying there, was because that qualifying day that he come through, I don't think he dropped anything more than 2 or 3 leads in any game. The fact he knew that day that if he won that qualifier, he was playing John Henderson, who, in his head, he felt he should have beat at the World Championships. Do you think that level of drive and motivation in this smaller window is because that was John Henderson, and John Henderson stopped his opportunity of being or going on and probably progressing to be a world champion or world champion finalist then? Do you think that was that extra bit that maybe wouldn't have been there if it was the other side of the draw and it was Thornton?
I'm not so sure. I just genuinely think Andy Hamilton is back, enjoying the sport of darts. And the main thing about these guys is they're all competitors. That does not go away overnight, despite the fact they're now all over the age of 50. They want and relish off moments and opportunities like they're being given on the seniors tour. And that's given Andy a new lease of life, and it's brilliant to see. Also, he's in great shape, isn't he? Like he's put some serious effort in the last couple of years compared to possibly the last time we saw him on the PDC tour. You think back to early 2010s on the PDC as well. Like he looked in fantastic shape, and actually, despite the fact his throw is so mechanical, he is one that you aren't worried about going a distance in these sort of games.
No, how are we doing, Aileen? Hope you are good. A couple of bits from the game. One, I want to talk Henderson before we come back to the game. Do we think that he's still not fully focused on the seniors, though? And look, I'd appreciate he won the World Championship, but he just spent 5 days in Germany playing PDC darts. He's ultimately said that I don't want to defend my title. I want to be back on the Pro Tour. Do you think that where the others are fully committed to this, where John hasn't, it's still not, that doesn't mean as much to him as perhaps some of the others?
I'm not sure, because maybe if he wouldn't have won it, but the fact he's now a world champion because of the seniors, and obviously just having a conversation with him about how much that meant at the time and still now a few weeks afterwards, I'm not saying his mindset has changed, that the seniors is now his future. That's that Andy Hamilton alluded to a couple of times on TV. But I think he's realised that he's got to take it serious if he wants to go on and be a multiple winner of this, because yeah, he's a world champion, but he doesn't want to stop now, and his frustration when he come off the stage at that game showed that. His focus is being a PDC player, and if I'm being totally honest, he's still got the game to be a tour card holder. It's definitely there. I still think he'll be fully prepared and ready for the Masters and the match play as world champion. This probably was more around Andy Hamilton than it was a poor John Henderson. It was the best performance of the weekend.
I'd have gone the other way as well. Like you said about the World Championship title meaning a lot to him, but actually I'm one that doesn't think he's that concerned with the titles on offer, but being a darts player, and actually there's a fair bit of money to be earned here that relieves some of that pressure should he go back on tour next year. If he wins every seniors televised event this year, or still to come as well, he's 45 grand better off. That's an awful... He wasn't earning that on a PDC tour. That's why he's dropped off the tour. And actually, if you're going in off a season where you've earned 45 grand through the seniors, it makes that first year, if you do manage to get back your tour card next year, which he's in a position to do, whilst he's also competing elsewhere on the Challenge Tour and whatever else, that much more comfortable for him, where he's not under the pressure that some of the new tour card holders are, that are being forced into a position where they've got to consider giving up work, and then because it's Mondays and Tuesdays and midweek pro tours and whatever else, and then that pressure to go and earn money increases even more so. And he's just in a lovely position right now. Like I said, I think we'll see a bounce back from him later in the year. He's played steady. He's just been undone by a very, very good Andy Hamilton.
How are we doing, Billy? Hope you are good. Also in that game, there were some mind games going on. Andy Hamilton copped the right hump when Hendo laid up. Almost took out, was it 152? After he laid up. Was it 156? It was one or the other.
156, I think it was. I don't think he left double 16 off it. And
then literally 2 legs later, Andy went, have some of that, and laid up when Hendo was on 130. And Andy alluded to it in his post-match. He was like, yeah, I tried to get in his head.
I ain't got an issue with that. I
love it.
There's a time and a place to do the right shots, but and I don't think Andy's or John's was the right shot. But the mind games on stage and that little bit of needle of this is, I'm all for that.
Well, we say it wasn't right, and it could have backfired. It didn't, and that's the moment where Andy really put his foot down and moved away from John. They were struggling to build any sort of platform or lead at that point. Look, I know it's finished 10-8 anyway, but actually, after that 130, that's the moment that Hamilton gained a bit of daylight and got himself a comfortable lead to go on and win the match.
Yeah, it was just enthralling. The final game, there's a narrative and a talking point here now, because in the last 2 seniors tournaments, Robert Thornton has pressed the self-destruct button. 2 games that he should have won, had multiple darts across multiple legs to do it, and absolutely fluffed his lines.
Oh, spot on. I don't know how this result is. The result is 2 days on from when it happened. It should have done the way of the Thornton. It wasn't a great performance even when he had the lead, but he just fell off a cliff. Completely and utterly fell off a cliff. And then Rowlands took that opportunity. Someone who's not got a huge amount of TV experience, as we saw with his manner of performance at the World, but to be honest, his level of game didn't really step up. He just took the opportunities that were given to him by Robert, and fair play to Rowlands, but concern for Robert Thornton as someone who's a multiple seniors winner.
Yeah, hang on. He's not quite looked himself in the last 2 appearances when things have got a bit hot under the collar. He's had most things his own way, to be honest, in the first couple of years, hasn't he? He's won plenty of majors, and obviously Leonard's come in and put those all under threat. He's no longer the reigning champion of anything. Given Henderson's win at the Tavern just a few weeks ago, he's not finished by any stretch of the imagination, but he's got work to do now if he wants to keep lifting those titles, because his place as number 1 is under serious threat.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Moving on, semi-finals on the Sunday afternoon. Again, matches full of drama. And again, I know we alluded to it in the final, but Richie doesn't like front running, does he? Because he was behind, then he settled, got in front, and almost when he gets in front, you can almost see he overthinks it at the moment. As soon as he gets in front, he's like, oh, this isn't meant to happen. I'm not meant to be here.
Yes, spot on. I think what he's saying there, it's not a position he seems comfortable with. It's hard to say he didn't manage it well, because he's had a very, very successful weekend, but he didn't look comfortable. Is probably the right way to say at spells in this one and moving on to the final. And then it's a good opportunity for Martin because of the experience and the years of experience in comparison to Richie. There was potentially an opportunity there, but fair play to Richie Howson, and he was very surprised when he come off and seen that he had a 90 average, because he didn't think that performance merited that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the second semi-final, Andy Hamilton made it difficult for himself again, because look, I don't mean this horribly, because Roland's a really, really nice guy, but he wasn't at the level of the others when they were at their best. But when they made mistakes, he was there to punish, and fair play to him because he took those opportunities. But again, Andy Hamilton should have won that game comfortably, but made it difficult for himself.
Yeah, there's 2 elements to that, isn't there? Andy could have closed out a bit earlier, but also the fact that Richard is such a fighter and a battler, and I don't know how we quantify that in darts. We sit here and say that about the likes of Nathan Aspinall and who's the other one in the Premier League right now? Aspinall's one of them that absolutely loves it, getting into a tear up and battling away sort of thing. And Richard seems to be another one of those. Like, he's been incredibly consistent on the floor. He's won 2 floor events and just kept building and building and building from there. 3 qualifying finals in a row, winning 2 of them. Is some going in that field. The only person we've seen go back-to-back before was Howson on the same weekend, and that's with the comfort knowing that he'd already qualified. To do what he has done over the last few weeks has been superb. And let's not forget, they are his first 2 appearances on TV. We saw him at the Tavern and then here, and I think he'll come away a little disappointed with the outcome, happy with the experience, and actually knowing if he can just settle that little bit earlier, stop himself having to chase games so often, he could be someone we see quite often up there. he's never going to be a big 180 hitter. Don't start expecting that to suddenly change. That's not his game. But if he can start finding 140s that little bit more consistently and taking out the ton plus checkouts that we know that he's capable of. I did a final with him with McEwen, and 5 of the first 8 legs were on ton plus checkouts. It was absolutely ridiculous. Roland was responsible for over half of them. He's just got this knack and timing of punishing people. And if he can get out, like you said, that little bit earlier, he's got a great chance of being back in a few more of these TV events for the rest of the year and then being competitive when he gets there.
Possibly, but look, you see more of him than I do. But right now, I would class him as the seniors Ian White. From what I've seen, I think he'll be a very good floor player, but I don't think he has that game to go and compete at the latter ends of the TV tournaments unless he's punishing mistakes.
Plenty of people who make careers out of punishing mistakes. James Wade's in the conversation for the top 10 of all time, mate.
That's just what I look at it. I just don't think he's got that level. I think very good floor player, but I'm not convinced he'll be challenging for TV titles in the seniors.
Let's find out.
We will see. Wolfie's shirts made quite a lot of chat over the weekend, and I was a fan.
So was I.
Did he first debut in Lakeside last year? I think he was wearing it at Lakeside.
He was wearing it at Lakeside, but he debuted it at the Super Series.
But I'd already seen him wearing it somewhere else.
He wore it
wearing it in Yeovil.
But it was after he played.
Yeah. It's a great shirt. One of the best.
Yeah. Massive fan. Right, we've got a clip to play.
Priestley, what it means first, though.
Murph did him an absolute kibble in comms about that. When Dennis went, there's a lot going on in that shirt. Murph went, there's a parrot on it. And then Dennis went, what?
There's a parrot on it. You know that I was like, that's top work from Murph. That went seriously under the radar.
Yeah, right. We've got a clip from Richie. Let's hear from him.
Feel that's one of the hardest things I think I can do. The emotions are just running so high at the moment. I didn't know if this day would actually come. As much as I believed it, it's still hard to do it. And Andy gave me such a great game there, and I got over the line. I'm so happy. Yeah, of course not. I mean, if you want to see 115 averages, then obviously you've got to watch the Premier League. But this is still a really good standard, and it's really, really competitive, and some great players on there. And there's guys that people have never heard of, and they're going to be coming through and being on the telly and winning these tournaments. And it's all thanks to the seniors and the 2 Jasons and all the rest of the team.
It was a wonderful moment when Richie got his hands on that trophy. Whilst that was it, something just popped up on my Instagram feed. You can tell darts is something now, can't you? When you've got Michael Smith and Joe Cullen at Media City to do the Rugby League Challenge Cup draw.
That's mustard. One of them doesn't go full what's his face from the Scotland draw.
Yeah, but you've got a Rugby League draw and you've got 2 darts players doing it. Not even anyone to do with Rugby League.
Who was he? Rod Stewart.
Yeah,
yes.
Rod Stewart.
Peter Crouch followed it up in the FA Cup draw, I think, that year. But yeah, one of them should.
So yeah, have to wait a little bit now for our next TV seniors action due to the Olympics and the European Championships. October, we head back to York first.
Yeah.
And then Rainham for the final one of the year. Tickets are available. Head to the seniors website or dartshop.tv if you want to join the party. But very, very good indeed. From the seniors, shall we go just down the road to Wigan, gents?
Suppose we better.
You're way too happy about introducing that one, Philip. I'm not going to lie. The smile on your face throughout the whole introduction of Shall We Go Down the Road.
Let's be fair, there is plenty to talk about. The first Women's Series action of 2024. And before we get into it, let's do the darts first. Let's do the darts. Do the
on a darts show? Never.
It's not our normal approach.
Yeah, we'll go for it this time. So, Women's Series action returned. First of all, a very, very good standard across the board from the women in Wigan.
Certainly, look, obviously we didn't catch an awful lot. We were all in Blackpool, but we've had Dart Connect open and caught glimpses of various finals. Good to see some new names involved.
Yeah.
It means there's still an appeal for people to come and get involved. Yeah, looked like it went off really well.
Yeah, Gemma Hayter from Hampshire. First time we'd seen her, made a semi-final in event number 1. But again, the first event of the year, the final 1 and 2 in the rankings, Fallon and Bo making their way to the final. Close final, Fallon winning it 5-4. Kind of set the standard for the tone for the weekend.
Yeah, that's probably the right word, tone, for what it said. Fallon's looking light. She's finding her game, and what a way to do that with only match by only a few months away. No surprise, I guess, to see Bo in a final. I guess and no surprise to see Katie in the semi-final, because they are 3 names that just stand out of this when it comes to the Women's Series, and 3 of the 8 we expect to see in Blackpool. You mentioned Gemma on debut, then semi-final, very impressive. But yeah, Fallon and Bo in final. It's not the first time we're going to see it. It's certainly not going to be the last.
No, just going through. Katie Sheldon, very good run. Mikuru Suzuki getting to the quarter-finals. Let's go to event 2 before we talk about individuals, because there were some highs and some lows. Event number 2 was won by Noa-Lynn van Leuven, picking up her first Women's Series title, beating Katie Sheldon in the final. Again, a really high standard. Noa-Lynn beating Fallon in the semi-finals, averaging a ton as well. Katie beating Mikuru. Decent standard in event number 2.
Yeah, decent standard, and all 4 of those semi-finalists were at least in the quarter-final in event 1. So consistency across those 4 is very, very impressive. But Noa-Lynn getting over the line against Katie Sheldon, who's going to be a force to be reckoned with in years to come.
Yeah, well, with Katie as well, look, she got to the match play the first time round, and then maybe we're judging her a little bit harshly, but she was disappointing last year. But she started this year more like the 2022 Katie Sheldon.
Yeah, right in the midst.
She's just come back with that little bit more confidence and belief in her ability by the looks of it.
Yeah, and I've noticed as well, the throw has changed a little bit. It's not quite as rapid. There's almost a little set in the action, which may have made the difference.
We've seen others benefit from that. Ricky Evans is one that has just taken an extra half a second to get ready on the hockey. Lovely run at the UK Open. Tommy Morris at the Super Series. He's another that just has that half a second to get ready before that first start goes, and then they unwind, and it certainly seems to work for both of those.
Yeah. Moving into the Sunday, event number 3, Mikuru Suzuki taking the honours, beating Dieter Hedman in the final. Again, one of those games, not much between them in terms of the numbers. No, Iron, we're going to talk about it in a minute, so get back in your box. It's not the elephant in the room. We said we'll do the darts first. Mikuru, she probably needed that, because last year she was superb right up until the end, where she tailed off massively in that the final, especially the final block. So could be huge for Mikuru.
Yeah, I think the conversation with Mikuru has always been about her preparation coming into these women's series, because when she's prepared for it correctly, Fotis gave herself enough time to sort of acclimatise by and timing of coming over. She's tending to have a very good weekend. and this is one that was very, very close. I believe Dieter had a match dart, maybe 2. So could have easily done the other way, but fair play to Maturu, another one who's secured a spot in Blackpool in July.
Yeah, she did. She missed a couple of match darts.
I don't remember how many it was.
Yeah. A nice quarter-final for Yuki Sakaguchi as well, because we didn't see anything of Yuki last year due to health issues and not being able to travel. So great to see Yuki back.
Yeah, when she was on it last year, she looked brilliant. She looked like one of those that there was a clear divide between the top 3 or 4 players on the tour, then the next group of players that were capable of making a run, but you didn't really fancy their chance if they came up against one of the top 2 or 3. And she was certainly pushing her way into conversation within that group, alongside the likes of Rhiannon O'Sullivan and Lorraine Hyde, shall we say. For just to pluck 2 names I can see on the screen right now, she was certainly working her way into conversation with those kind of players who we've been praising very, very highly over the last couple of years. So, yeah, great to see her back.
Yeah, and then the final event was a repeat of the first one, Fallon Sherrock, Bo Greaves, but this time it was an absolute one-sided affair. Fallon, for the first, I can't remember Fallon doing a number on Bo like that for a while or for a long time.
She looked absolutely brilliant. Normally, the 4th event is not her strongest either. If you go back and look at historically, Fallon Sherrock by the time she gets to the 4th event, she's done. She's checked out mentally. But she put a massive statement in. She played brilliantly throughout the 2 performances to get there. A 92 average and a 5-0 win over Kirsty Vinnikine in the quarterfinals, a 97 average in the semi-final and a 5-1 win, and then that 87 against Bo Greaves. She looked so assured, and there seems to have been a switch in mentality with Fallon. There's a little bit more belief about her own game, similar to what we said about Katie Sheldon a little bit earlier on. But there seems to have been a bit of growth when it's not going her way. When she throws a bad dart or when she misses a dart, there's no eye rolling. There's no throwing her hands up in what the bloody hell was that. She seems to have gone away and worked on that side of the game. She's not giving her opponent an inch. And that's massive for Fallon, because if she's walking around like she owns a place with her shoulders high and going, right, you've got to come and beat me, that's a far more daunting prospect for players than seeing Fallon Sherrock throwing her hands up and going, why is it not working for me? Why am I not hitting a ton 40 there? Why is that only an 85? Why is my first dart gone right? Why am I having to step back constantly? They're the sort of things that give your opponents belief. Richie Howson said it to me literally yesterday. He's like, Andy, by the end of the final, when he wasn't scoring very well, it looked like he was just throwing away. I knew I had him at that point. I knew I had to take advantage of it. And if you're seeing players do that kind of thing, like we have seen Fallon do in the past when it's not gone away, it's not petulance, it's just frustration. They weren't there at the weekend every time I watched her play.
Yeah, and we used to laugh, Gob, especially last year, that Fallon used to rock up, looking in her pristine self, hair down, being Fallon. But by halfway through event number 1, it was different stages of Fallon, how the messy hair bun would go up, and then by the end of it, it was literally tied in a knot. Where now, none of that. It's cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah. Like I said, she just looked really assured whenever she towed the hockey. She's had a brilliant weekend, 2 finals, 2 semi-finals. She's played some exceptional darts. She's played above the level that we've seen from her the last couple of years. They were on that last block of last year. She was excellent in getting those victories and starting this little run of wins that she's got over Bo Greaves right now. There aren't many in the world that can say they've ever been in that position, let alone have that position right now. And she's hitting form at a very, very good time with the women's match play on the horizon. One more block before that. She's in a very, very strong position already, looking ahead to the PDC World Championship at the back end of the year if she keeps this up, especially once we've seen that other events have been announced, such as the England Darts Open returning to Chelsea, which clashes with a Women's Series weekend, mind. We might see some players having to make difficult decisions about which events to attend in that regard. Fallon looks brilliant right now.
Well, yeah, on the last event, because I've got it up here, where beforehand, Fallon, she'd throw in a stinker every now and then, but 82, 95, 94, 86, 92, 97, and 87, that's very hard to beat.
Very hard to beat. And you've shown this before. I guess it's back to that point. We're used to seeing it across events 1 to 3. It's probably we're not used to seeing it when we have done in this final one, but she's finding that form and she's put herself in a great position for the two big ones.
Yeah, two players we want to speak about as well. A disappointing weekend for Lisa Ashton. She obviously chose to go to the Women's Series over playing Champion of Champions, but a hugely disappointing weekend for the Lancashire Rose, considering how brilliant she was at the Tavern.
There is, but if you do some digging into this is where we stumble across another issue with the Women's Series.
The draw. The
draw. The seeding. Yeah. She's lost to Bo twice, Dita Hedman and Mikuru Suzuki. She's made 2 last 16s where she's been beaten by Mikuru and Bo. 2 last 32s where she's been beaten by Bo and Dita Hedman. Now, realistically, if you see those players in order of results from the last couple of years, she would have met Bo in a semi-final, Mikuru in a semi-final, and Dita in a quarter-final or a last 16, which means she's met all of them at least 1, if not 2 rounds earlier than seeding would have dictated, at which point we're sat there going, yeah, Lisa's had a solid weekend. And all right, a player of Lisa's calibre and position and history, despite the fact she's coming back from an injury and played brilliantly at the Seniors World Championships a few weeks ago, you'll be sat there saying these are the matches she's got to win if she wants to be competitive and go on and get back to where she was within the game. But also, you've got to give the chance to be earning the money and put in that position. And that's what seeding allows.
Yeah, it does.
She's not getting because she's under pressure from losing in the last 32 in the very first event and the last 16, then the last 32. She's going, right, day one, I've actually not earned a great deal here in the race to the World Championship now. I'm on the back foot. I need a good run. Need some sort of protection to get me back to where I should be. And you run into Dita Hedman and Mikuru and Bo again.
I agree to a point, but also I look at the performances in defeat. We judge players on the standards that they have set. And at the moment, Lisa's not hitting the numbers that we know she's capable of. Where you look at, we've just spoken about Fallon's averages. We expect those from Lisa. Yeah, I fully get that she's come back from injury and she's had a hard time. But she's a good 15 points off those averages where we expect Lisa to be because she is such a fabulous player.
Yeah, I agree. I guess the seeding is the one argument of it, but you still wouldn't expect her to lose all of those 4. If you'd have said before a weekend, this is where she's positioned, you'd still expect her to thumb through 1 or 2. And there's also the form that she showed at the World Championships, because the form and the manner of some of those wins, you would expect was only going to see Lisa draw. I still think for her it was probably the right decision to what she's done because she wants to look towards match play and the World Championships. Less so the match play, so I think she's already in a strong enough position. But for the Worlds in December, I've got no concerns that Lisa will return to that standard in the next blot or the one after that and will be a threat in Blackpool. It's just a mixture of bad luck, withdraw, and probably just a bit of a knot in confidence losing in the first 2 in day one, just carried her through into the weekend.
Yeah, and the other one is obviously Bo. Last year, she was untouchable for long periods of the Women's Series, but no title in the opening weekend. And when she played in Event 1, I think her first average of the day was 101. But from there, never quite hit the same heights. And again, the same bit we've just said about Lisa, we judge Bo on the standards that she set. Now, I didn't see a lot of the action this weekend, so chat room, perhaps you can help. Was it just one of those weekends, or we've seen there was a Women's Series, was it the one at Milton Keynes, Gob, that you and I did where the action did break down? Was the action okay? Or was it just one of those weekends, do you think?
I know she had issue with equipment. She had a point snap at one point. She ended up throwing what looked like a set of Mervyn Kings at one point. Then appeared to be thrown with something different again by the end of the weekend. So when that happens, it can throw a player off a little bit. It depends how long it's taken her to get darts repaired, etc. You can have that conversation that a pro should not be putting themselves in that position. We absolutely
just about to say that
finishing a game with 2 darts.
She is a pro.
Didn't have a spare.
And this isn't just Bo, by the way. This is anyone. If you're playing at that level, there should be a spare set in your case, kitted up, ready to go.
But yeah, like I said, she's also coming this off the fact that Fallon did a number on her in the back end of last year. Last block before Fallon started getting the results to turn in her favour. She's got away, won the World Championships, had a bit of a canter. She's dropped a set, I think it was, to Aileen de Graaf in the final. And there's an argument that really could have gone Bo's way as well. She played really well at the Dev Tour, though, which is what's surprising. Because this is a level, standard-wise and competition-wise, this is a level below what you see at the Dev Tour. And she's played really, really well at the Dev Tour. But I don't know if she's walked in here too confident, too relaxed, too calm, anything like that.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It was just, it's intriguing because she didn't post the numbers that we expect her to post.
Yeah.
Which
she still made 2 finals. She still had a solid return in terms of finances. But
it's the expectation.
Yeah.
That's the thing, isn't it? The expectation on Bo now is because she's come in and won a whole weekend before she's had the runs of 20, 30 games where she's not lost. It's the expectation that he's totally on Bo's shoulders. If an off weekend for a lot of these players was 2 finals, you wouldn't mind being in that position. So It's just one of those where she's still strong enough to you still do expect her to be in that race for that top position with Fallon between now and the rest of the year. I guess the big one is the Blackpool Secure. It's just about where they would be seeded. It's the order of merit for the 12 months, but is her focus really on that? Possibly not after the decision what was made last year. So she's still in a very, very strong position, and you would expect would still be down into July as favourite.
I guess that depends how the next block goes. But there is a comparison to be made here, by the way, with Luke Littler. Even when Bo's been at her absolute peak in the women's series, she still had darts. She still had visits that don't go her way. She's just always had the scoring power and ability to dig herself out of trouble in key moments. She bangs in a 140 out of nowhere. She hits a maximum out of nowhere. And that's the scoring power that actually a lot of players haven't been able to live with. But they've also been a bit edgy about putting anything on Bo, because if that visit comes, it completely turns a leg again. The fear factor seems to have gone a little bit. That last block before has shown people that Bo can be beaten. When she first appeared on the women's series, everybody's petrified because A, she rocked up and was smashing people. B, she was playing at a ridiculous level. But because that run continued and you saw players that for the last couple of years had absolutely dominated this environment previously, Fallon Sherrock, Lisa Ashton, Dita Emma, Kurosuzuki, not being able to land a glove on Bo as well. The rest of the field looking at going, well, we've got no chance if we draw in the last 32. Now they're going, actually, if I get out, play my game, as the standard of the entire tour goes up, they're thinking I've got a shot here. We saw the same with Taylor as his career went on later. We're seeing the similar with Littler as well. Like, you can't get away with as many trebleless visits as Bowen and Luke have done and rely on the big shots to bail you out when the standard gets better.
Right now, Fallon is seeded 1 for the match play, only by £100, granted. But if you'd have said 6 months ago that would have been the case, I don't think anyone would have believed it.
No, not a chance. But again, that now comes with its own pressure, right? Despite the spotlight that remains on Fallon Sherrock for what she's done in the sport and the viewers and attention that she brought to the sport before Luke came about and before Bo's rocked up and dominated the level shed, she's been able to just go about her business. Perhaps not as normally as someone else on the tour, but in a relative capacity to what Fallon Sherrock is used to. She's been allowed to just go about her business for the last few events. That changes again now because Fallon's back, playing well, winning titles, and as number one. And now she's got a target on her back at a time where there are more people watching this sport than ever before. And she is one of the most high-profile players this sport has ever seen.
Well, it's now it's now sits out the last 9 she's won. The run she's on is ridiculous. The only person who's ever matched them sort of runs has been Bo, and now they're going to be battling out for that top spot for match play because there's no one who can catch them.
And early days, Lisa really. Lisa had a bit of a playground right at the start, didn't she? But she's not at that level right now.
Well, after this block, obviously, I'm not going to look at the main order of merit because it's only block number 1 for the World Championship. But the race for the match play currently, Fallon Sherrock 1, Bo Greaves 2, Mikuru Suzuki 3, Lisa Ashton 4, Noa-Lynn van Leuven 5, Rhiannon O'Sullivan 6, Anastasia Dobromyslova is in a match play spot in 7, and Aoife McCormack has taken 8th spot from camp back from Natalie Gilbert. Before the weekend, Natalie Gilbert was in that space. From her social media, she's on a family holiday that was obviously pre-booked before these dates came out. So although she's dropped to place, it's only on count back. It's not the worst damage that could have been done for Natalie Gilbert.
It's not the worst damage that could have been done, but if you look at the chasing pack with 1 weekend to go, now she walks into that room with a completely different pressure. 2 weekends.
Yeah.
Still. Look at the players around.
One in April, 1 in June, mate. 8 events.
Aoife looking solid. Katie Sheldon, we've just sat her in praise saying that she's looking that little bit more assured and has taken that half a second to set herself. Lorraine Hyde's been competitive. Kirsty Vienakainen chucked in a fair few 90 averages this weekend. Anastasia's got a £1,000 cushion. If she keeps playing consistently at the level that she has, it's unlikely that gets overturned. There are still 8 events to go. But if she stays at that level, it all becomes about that race for 8th spot. And look who's just below those two. Aileen de Graaf and Dieter Hedman.
To be honest, that list goes a bit further. Because if you look at the likes of that, even the 3 of Kirsty, Lorraine, and Laura, they've all got to finals, if not picked up titles before. How quickly that can change.
From what I saw this weekend, I don't think Laura Turner has the game in her at the moment. I don't think she averaged above 70 at the moment. I know Laura's a fabulous player, but right now, the form isn't there to overturn that prize money difference, I don't think.
Yeah, maybe so, but there's the opportunity. There's 8 events to play for, and it only takes a couple of the runs to that latter stage, and you put yourself back in that mix. It's going to be an interesting fight because I looked at this probably similar to the mindset of Dob. If I was trying to work out the prize money with only 4 events in mind, but that changes now for me knowing there's 8 of who's through that. Because when I was looking Sunday at this, I thought there was only 4. It's only checked before tonight that there's actually more, but 4 secure for me.
I think 5. I don't think Noa-Lynn's getting caught. I think she's playing too well. I think the top 5 are done.
When they are on,
will $5,000 be enough? No.
That's the thing.
Will she add to it?
Yeah.
Yes. That's the thing. I don't see the top 5 getting caught.
Yeah. If you ask me the Ryan Searle question right now, is Noa-Lynn van Leuven in the Women's World Match Play on £5,000? The answer is no. Do I think they will make it? 100%.
But I equally think that Rhiannon will make it. Where that sort of cut off is, I don't see anyone catching Lisa if Lisa didn't turn up for the next 2 weekends.
No, but if
I think 6,400 would be enough to get you into Blackpool. I don't think 5,000 will be enough.
I don't, but I guess part of my logic is even if Noa-Lynn and Rhiannon to miss a weekend, I think Noa-Lynn would be safe. I don't think Rhiannon would, off 4 events to go.
Right. Off the back of this weekend, it all got a little bit jazzy in the women's scene. the statement, first of all, from Anke Zylstra, then followed by Aileen refusing to play for Holland, however you want to put it, because Noa-Lynn was selected kind of through a shadow over the weekend. And we've looked back over the timeline, and Anke released her statement literally minutes after Noa-Lynn beat her in event 1.
4-0 pretty comprehensively. From discussions we've had, there certainly seems to be a lot of unrest in the venue, not enough to have made a significant move from a group of players or any sort of union or group move like that. There's two aspects to this conversation. One is the sporting ability and the government's decision and the sporting organisation's decision, in similar way that we talk about the Dev Tour, in that players with a tour card aren't doing anything wrong by playing in that environment. Noa-Lynn is not doing anything wrong in terms of the PDC's rules and boundaries that they provide for participation in women's sport, the same way that the WF and many others have. They're not breaking any rules right now. Now, if you agree with those rules or not is a different conversation. The other one is how people can go about voicing their opinions on that in a way that isn't derogatory, offensive, or hateful. And this isn't the easiest topic we ever talked about. We probably won't talk about a more difficult or splitting subject ever on this show, but it is one that is not beyond us, but one that is very thought-provoking, has a lot of opinions on a lot of different sides, and takes a lot of looking into.
Yeah. I had multiple conversations with people in the venue and played this weekend. I'm not going to name them, but they were multiple. And my issue is it's been taken out on Noa-Lynn here to a point of where she's being bullied. And there is a line that you cannot cross because it's not right. If you've got an issue with the rules, take them up with the authorities that are sanctioning these rules. Do not take them out on the individual that is just going about her business and abiding by the rules that are set. Bullying people in any walk of life is just not acceptable. And multiple people have said the same thing, that it was almost a witch hunt at times for her in that venue. And that is not acceptable. And the PDPA, the PDC that are there have to deal with that issue because that's happening in the venue. And that is not right.
No, 100%.
Like Anke and Aileen have made their point publicly so we can talk about it. If you don't like the rule, that is fine. Take your grievances up with the people that are setting them, not the individual that is just playing by those rules.
Squad. They have gone about it in the right way. I don't think the statement that Anke made was offensive. I only had a quick glance across it. I don't think there was anything in there that would be considered transphobic. She just stated that she didn't believe it was fair for somebody that had previously existed as a male to be competing in a women's team in the same regard. Look, there's a lot. Dieter Hedman's been quite vocal about this on her social media, and actually when you take into consider the bodily functions that women have to deal with, i.e. periods and menopause, etc., that there's certainly a conversation to be had there that not having those is an advantage. You also look at the opportunities that males have traditionally had over the years and the hand-eye coordination that young boys and males develop compared to girls because of historically boys are pushed to sports and girls are pushed into creative writing and the arts and that sort of thing. Like, that's quite a big generalization, but actually if you go and look at history for the last 60 years in most countries, that's what happens. Men go and do physical hard working labor, that sort of thing. There are arguments here that Noa-Lynn has been the beneficiary of growing up as a male. I guess what we need now is it's not an organisation to stand up, but it certainly seems to be that nobody wants to be the first to go and change anything. Everybody is leaning on somebody else's ruling to hide behind, and it goes right to the very top of the IOC, but it looks that certain things are being changed. I think sports like cycling and swimming seem to be developing ways of having open categories and biological female categories. That seems to be the way that they're sort of going. And I wonder if we will get that in the sport of darts, if we will get that in other sports as we go on. It's just who makes that move first. It's not high profile, but it is high profile. I grew up playing pool. Before I got into darts, I played pool. There is a player that has transitioned to be a female playing in the women's tour in pool right now. And Lynn Pinches, Barry Pinches, the snooker player's partner, made it to a final against Harriet, who is the other player, and walked away. They lagged and then walked away, refused to play against Harriet. A couple of other players have done it since. And now I think that organisation have looked at reviewing their policies and they're being sued for being transphobic. And it's such a fine line to get that correct, especially in 2024 in an era and age where we live.
Yeah, it also comes to the point of it being raised more and more since last July or June time of the qualification for the match play. We've seen that matter again now when Noa-Lynn has done on and been successful. The times that Noa-Lynn isn't successful on the women's series, the conversation isn't heightened as much. I know we've mentioned two statements there. There is a third one that Tom's about, which is Dieter's. And Dieter's Tom's, I probably have a little bit more respect for Dieter's comments to the other two on the base of when they are. It didn't feel right when the two landed this weekend.
No, I disagree. Dieter still went out during the weekend that the darts are on. That these shouldn't be going out on
the first one. Didn't
go out 10 minutes after you were beaten by the person in question. Did it?
No, I agree it didn't, but it's still the timing of it is doesn't sit right.
Whereas Dieter's has gone out during a weekend where women's darts is under the microscope. That's how you make an impact with a statement like that from a person who is as highly regarded in the sport as Dieter Hedman is. If she leaves it a week, we're back talking about Luke Littler in the Premier League, and nobody cares.
But this isn't the first time that Dieter's spoken about this.
No.
She's raised a statement previously that wasn't during a women's series of events. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But it wasn't during that. That's the statement I'm talking about, not the follow-up one that she's done with this weekend. That's also a point that needs to be discussed because it's, like you've mentioned there in Paul, Dob, that's then taken off because of someone being successful. This should be dealt with in whatever the solution is, away from the success of one individual, because there could be multiple people who are in a similar position who are not as open as Noa-Lynn, and that might not come to fruition, but because they're not successful and that's not known, that conversation should be had because of the modern world that we're in today, that should be happening now. Anyway, it's the disappointment of whether you agree or not agree with what should happen and shouldn't happen. It's more about when comments and statements are being made, and a statement being released however many minutes you said after a game, it was predetermined because of the manner of that statement. Yeah. No one's writing that quick.
Well, some of the chat room were saying it was 10 minutes before and then the game still went on, but it's still in and around that moment of competing. And if that's seen by either side at that point, like it can change the tension and the environment of that game is played under. There is, I don't know how to phrase this. I think what people are struggling to see here is that you can be accepting of people who are trans and not believe that they should be playing in women's sports. And I think in society today, no, you think this, you're this, or you think this, you're this. You can be both. You can be accepting of people who are trans. You can stand up for women's rights, trans rights, and not believe that trans people should participate in women's sport because they have a competitive biological advantage.
100%.
And I think that's where the conversation needs to get to. Not, it's a bloke, you're transphobic, or it's their right, they can do what they want. Like, that needs to narrow towards the middle somewhere. And I'm not sure that the authorities or a lot of people that exist right now are capable of having those conversations.
I just, looking at it, that Dieter made a point a while ago, and I just think that I might be wrong with this, but it just feels like where no one's done anything or no one's listened to her, she stamped her feet and gone, I'm going again this weekend with exactly the same point.
Not
because
like
go back.
Originally, she's gone to organisations with backed up scientific data of the advantage and whatever else. She's put an incredible amount of research into this. Gone to petition the WDF board is the one that she's referred to specifically, but it's not stamping her feet, Phil. If you genuinely believe in a cause like that, she's gone about it in the right way. She's posted it using her social media platform, which is how you get things moving in 2024. You don't start writing to your local MP or anything. You get it social, you get it viral, you get people talking about the conversation. She's done it again at a time when it gets more impact because others have done it. Now, following Anchor and Aileen and whatever, it changes the narrative a little bit. It's not, I'm not playing with these people. It's, I don't believe in this. We need to start having conversations at a time when that is the conversation being had. It's the perfect time to have done it.
If you believe in it that much, though, then you wouldn't have entered the event knowing that she was playing in it.
I disagree.
Yeah, the thing of detrimenting yourself until something changes.
The thing is, there's a million and one other things that women's are being provided right now.
We know there was genuine conversations at the weekend that if certain players drew her, they were going to forfeit it and walk off. Now that's not the answer. If you feel that strongly about it, don't enter. Walking away just because you're playing her isn't right either for sporting integrity purposes.
I think there's you don't make a statement about the fact that you believe somebody has an unfair advantage in the sport by just not turning up. You shoot yourself in the foot. That's cutting your nose off to spite your face. You go about it in the right way. You keep competing and participating.
If you're going to do that, yes.
But we know. If they play against Noah, completely different conversation. The people in general just going, I don't agree with it, so I'm not going to turn up.
But that's the point. Again, we're not going to name them
for the next 3 years.
We're not going to name people, but we know through conversations that there were genuine people in that room that if they drew them, were going to walk off and not play. Which isn't right for sporting integrity either. If you're there, you play no matter what. You either don't enter or you play no matter who you're playing.
Potentially, but we've seen it in other sports where that has happened and it's got the conversation moving faster. Like I said, it happened in English pool twice now. Someone else did it the weekend, believe it, Kalani a few weeks ago. And that conversation has been accelerated.
But going by the statement released by the NDB today, I don't think it's going to change there. I certainly don't think the PDC will change their stance on it.
It's not going to change there. But if them two players who have removed themselves said initially I'm going to participate and then that weekend withdrew that day, it would have made that impact slightly different than what it has. Similar to being drawn against someone, then removing yourself 2 minutes before the game instead of not turning up altogether. That's about the impact it has on driving that decision. Someone playing on a Saturday event and then not playing on a Sunday event doesn't really get talked about. It just that's, oh, they're not here today. Without any rationale unless that player tells you. If there'd have been a last 8 game, for example, and as we're talking about, Noa-Lynn was playing someone, and then there's a walk over, that will then spark that conversation, debate even further than what it would. So the impact on that individual, yes, from a sporting integrity, I totally agree, Phil. But right now, this is about certain players wanting to make a statement or make their opinions heard, and that would certainly make it heard a lot louder than what it would if they just decided, I'm not going to play the Women's Series this weekend because one player's playing in it.
It's a mess right now. I think we can all agree that. But it goes back to knowing that what we know from conversations. I don't like the fact that what we've spoken about, that people are doing it wrong in terms of bullying people instead of doing it the right way. Bullying people is not acceptable, and that's what this weekend was effectively.
Yeah,
it is the thing, and that's not right. Even this is going to rumble on for the rest of this year because no rules are going to get changed mid-year.
It's going to rumble on for the rest of the year, even if Noa-Lynn isn't as successful as what she's been this weekend, because she's in a prime position to beat the match play, and this conversation to probably come to light at its highest up until this weekend, last June or July, whenever the cut-off ended. So that conversation is going to be ongoing with no changes whatsoever.
And again, you touched on it earlier, Boise, that Noa-Lynn's been playing in the Women's Series for how long now? A good 18 months? 2 years?
Please, yeah. I would say 2 years.
This has only, again, become more of an issue since she started winning. When she wasn't winning, there was murmurings, but only since the Challenge Tour win and this weekend has it gone into overdrive.
Yeah. I think there's the fact that most of you won't even be aware that another player identifies as trans was playing since day one.
This is my point.
This year, but the fact that they existed in the first
this is my exact point.
Series, you would not have known at all. But 95% in the chat room would have known. Then Victoria Monaghan qualified for the Lakeside. That was brought up a little bit on social media after a couple of photos were shared, but actually that died off pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's my point, that this isn't new. This has happened since the start of the Women's Series, and nothing was ever said because the other player in question never troubled the back end of a tournament.
I guess it's gone from it's now a threat to their livelihood, isn't it? To the majority of players' livelihood, and that's why they're looking at going. That's where the unfair advantage comes in. When it's not a threat to your livelihood, then you're more likely to be accepting.
Yeah. It was interesting for the first time ever that the PDC turned comments off on Women's Series post this weekend. First time I've ever seen them turn comments off. And
right decision, though. Right decision.
100%. Because again, the comments or the quote retweets were nothing short of horrific.
Hopefully, another organisation will take tips from that and decide to turn theirs off on a YouTube channel in a World Championships later on this year. Not leave them ones on.
No, because the Super Series leave comments on right now, it needs moderating. You're always going to get knobheads somewhere, but actually the engagement and the community that a chat room can provide like that is good. The way it was monitored at the WNF World Championships was a shambles. Took them 6 days to finally go, we're watching you, and delete somebody.
No, Tommy, they were horrific. They weren't honest. Some of the comments were genuinely horrific, where if you said some of the things that were said in those comments to someone in the street, you would get arrested. They weren't honest at all, some of them. some of them were very good points. Not all, but a lot. Genuinely, if you said that to someone in the street, you'd get arrested.
Opinions on the rules for me are totally fine. Opinions on individual, totally unacceptable, and that's where it wasn't right. Because then not everyone who commented was doing as you said there, Phil, in regards to bullying or them sort of comments. Not everyone was. However, a larger proportion probably was doing that, and that's where it's totally wrong.
Yeah, 100%. But from a darts point of view, a very good weekend for the women's darts overall, boys.
Yes.
What we expect.
Yeah, 100%. And also, the PDC put the graphic out. Only limited tickets available for Sunday afternoon for the women's series as well. So it seems to be growing in that respect, the women's game. That ticket sales are up again.
I mean, look, the majority of ticket sales are up in PDC darts right now. They're absolutely flying. Now that the event has statue in place, it's been there for 2 years. People are slightly more aware of it. That session now exists as a chance to go to the Winter Gardens and all that. And actually, for 2 years in a row now, they've proven that they can play at a standard that is watchable, enjoyable, and creates a good atmosphere. Then, yeah, why would they not be up?
Yeah, 100%. Chris, we spoke about that early on, mate. We spoke about Bo's inconsistent form, and we're sure it will come back. But yeah, not her best weekend, but we'll be back. Just interesting, while we're on the women's game, we touched on that date clash later on in the year. Do you think there will be a drop-off and some of the WDF contingent will choose Salisbury over the women's series?
Some of. I think the fact that it comes after the match play is so early in the run-up to the following match play, and most of the players are either going to know they're pretty secure for the World Championships or in that hunt or well out of the race for the 3 spots at the World Championships, then yeah, because a lot of those players still do enjoy representing their country or chasing points for the WDF World Championship, that actually, look, I know me and Phil have disagreed on this in the past, that is their World Championship.
Are we going into this?
No. There is way too much to talk about this week for us to bring in a topic we've covered off.
Voices like, wow, abort. Yeah, so that was the women's series. From there, let's go to the Premier League, gents. And right now, a certain world champion and world number 1 is currently unplayable.
Correct.
He looks magnificent, doesn't he? He makes it look so easy. And the thing is, even when he's playing well...
Exactly my words then, Dob. They were exactly going to be my words.
Action, the more I'm like, how does this work? The darts are ridiculously long. I've thrown a set. They come out the hand beautifully. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But yeah, look, he just looks absolutely magnificent. And whilst there may have been a little bit of frustration and annoyance under the surface in the first couple of weeks following the World Championship, you look at the things that Luke Littler is currently out and about and doing. He's been on, who was it? Was it Graham Norton or was it the other one?
Jonathan
Ross. He did Children in Need the other week. He's been to football clubs and played, etc. It's refocused Luke on the darts a lot quicker than perhaps we've seen from other world champions in the past. Michael Smith has openly sat here and said that he spent far too long partying, travelling and enjoying himself. And by the time he got down to serious business, it was too late and he'd sort of gone off the boil a bit. And then you're chasing form as world champion. Well, you've still got a target on your back. Luke Humphries had a couple of offers. Let's not forget, by the way, this is still his Premier League debut. as a full-time player. He's played once before in Exeter, which, if we're being honest, as much as we sit here and adore the venue or hate the venue if you feel, it doesn't really give a true reflection of what the Premier League is and can be because of the size and the shape of the venue. Like, that doesn't give you a scope of what you're going to walk into in Dublin or into Cardiff when you play against Gerwyn Price. Like, that just doesn't happen. All right, he got some supporting extra. He's never really been booed before, and he's had to deal with that for the last few weeks. I'm not really sure why or where those have come about, and they're certainly not shouting Luke like they do Root in the cricket. But he has bounced back superbly. He looks absolutely brilliant again right now. In short form races, the averages that he's producing are magnificent. He's got the ability to just produce spurts that mean I'm looking at the match play already and going, who the hell stops him on this form? I know it's a long way away still. He's got World Series and stuff to come before then. But this was when Luke won the World Championship in those 3 or 4 majors last year, everyone was saying, he's not the finished article yet. We're starting to see a little bit more of that. He's added that 2-3% to his game, and there could still be more to come.
Yeah, 100%. I think 13 of his last 15 TV averages have been over 100.
That's sensational.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, just before we go on, Stephen, thank you very much. He says, thanks, guys. We've done that well. I won't go into. And thank you very much, Robert, for the super chat, mate. Massively appreciate your support. Thank you very, very much indeed. Thank you, mate. Massively appreciate it. Yeah, it just the way he's doing it, he's dismantling world-class players. The averages this week in Dublin: 106.9, 104.87, 105.53. That is just savage from Luke Humphries.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. The short format, the 9 wins now on the bounce, 3 consecutive weekly wins, the manner of him demolishing players down into the final. Smith had a very good night, but he just looked a total ease with Luke Humphries. And it's when someone's in this form, it's always very hard to see how someone's going to beat him and the manner you need to perform to beat him. It's going to have to be a 110, 111. And even that, you think, if I haven't won the ball, I might still not win that game of darts. It's that first start in the practice room is just as important as what you do out there at the minute, because he's playing so well. So well is probably downplaying it. He looks world class. It looks like what we saw the back end of last year, and is by far, I don't know, we swap every other week, it seems, Phil, or every other month around who currently is the best player in the world right now.
There's
no argument. Yeah, there's no argument. Is that even if he doesn't go on and play to these levels this week or next week, the run he's currently on, everything is just going the way of Luke Humphries at the minute.
Well, the last 2 nights, the nightly averages have been over a ton, mainly thanks to Luke Humphries. Word on the Dublin crowd. I don't know what it came across like on TV, but it was spine-tingling. I've said it and I'll say it again. It is the best night in the Premier League for me. Just the arena was an absolute buzz, and it was just incredible. I hope it came across on TV like it was being there.
Don't think it will ever come across as good as being there.
No, but you know,
always delivers. But I know what you mean. Yeah, it was. It delivered where other venues don't, without pitting on certain cities as we normally do.
Yeah, when they did the chorus of Fields of Athenry into Zombie was just incredible. But look, Luke Humphries, 3 in a row, going for history next week. No one has won 4 Premier League nights in a row. It's going to take some effort to stop him, isn't it?
I don't really like that stat. It's going to take some effort, and it is impressive, but this format's only existed for 2.5 years, and it might not be winning a night ever again either.
Still history. No one's won 4 in a row.
100%, but just feels a little not hollow, but just there's not as much in it yet.
So we head north of the Irish border to Belfast this week. The quarterfinals are as follows. Luke Humphries takes on Luke Littler. Michael Smith, Michael Van Gerwen, Geraint Price, Nathan Aspinall, Rob Cross, Peter Wright. Are we, before we go into what we think, are we saying that Wright is done now?
Yeah.
Yes.
In terms of making the playoffs, I mean, not done,
for a dart, but yes.
Yeah. And also, Luke Littler has dropped out of the top 4 on countback. A new dynamic for him ahead of Belfast.
Might be just what he needs. There's a lot of photos elsewhere, but if Luke Littler, as we all said, I believe that he's one of 3 that we expect to definitely be at the O2. It might be that tit up the backside that Luke Littler needs, and it's still a surprise, isn't it, that he hasn't won one? I know Luke's had a ridiculous run, and Michael's had a ridiculous run in his Premier League. It's still a surprise he hasn't.
Malachi, thanks very much for your super like, buddy. Massively appreciate it. And I've starred that question about Modus Super Series. We'll come back to that. Is it right, first of all, before we look at it, that the first denominator to separate the league table is night ones and not leg difference?
Yes.
Just asking the question, that was all.
Yes. Is that just the way it's presented, though, or is it in the rules?
No, it is. No, that's how it is. It's the first. If you're level on points, it goes on nightly wins.
I guess they both reflect consistency, and you get a financial reward for winning a night. But I don't think that. Leg difference just reflects your bad performances as well. If you're losing close, every point matters then. Not, well, I got spanked 6-0 that night, so who cares?
Yeah, I was just asking the question, that was all. So let's go through Belfast. Humphries versus Littler. Chat room, get involved as well. Where are we going with this one?
Do you want first, Dob?
Nope. After you, sir.
Luke Littler sits 4.
Oh, no fourfold for the world champion for Mr. Boyce.
It's honestly, I think it's an unbelievable time for this to be the opening game. We're only going to see it once more as the opening game, but I think this is a great time for both. I think Littler just at the advantage.
Humphries 6-3.
Humphries 6-4. Michael against Michael. Michael will win, but which one?
You first, Dob.
At some point, Van Gerwen is going to return to form because he has to. But it won't be this week. Michael Smith wins.
The shoulder is still an issue. He'll play it down, but he doesn't look comfortable.
6 legs to 4.
I've got the same.
I've got 6-4, but I'm going MVG. I think he gets back to winning ways.
The worry this week, and it's mad to think, just before we go on to the next one, a few weeks ago, no one's touching Michael Van Gerwen, 15 points, only needs another 10. I'm not saying the quality's there or anything, easily don't undo it. But if results go against him this weekend, he'd have just been in the playoffs on nights 1. That is crazy to think. And the fact he's only ever picked up points when he's won a night.
It is, but again,
I know he's carrying an
is
injury.
playing a part in that.
But if that plays a part for the next 8 weeks,
Oh yeah, agreed. The injury may cost him.
it's mental that we're in the situation now where we're talking that this time next week MVG could be fourth in the league table, where there was no one touching him 4 weeks. Then we was talking about at the start of the season he's got no interest in winning the league, and now he wants to be top of that league before we get to the playoffs. What a turnaround that's been.
You can miss Premier League weeks through injury. Your opponent will just get a walkover. But yeah, look, if it's that bad, then yes, you can. Aspinall against Price. Now, I thought there were huge pluses for Gerwyn Price last week.
Yes, but I think he's on the receiving end this week of a last leg decider, and it does the way of the Asp.
About the same.
I got Price 6-4. Cross versus Wright.
Cross 6-4.
So I've done this thing of bidding up Humphries, and then I've said he's going to lose, and I've said Peter Wright's not in this Premier League, and I've had Peter Wright to win. I've done my predictions before I started speaking, and I've got Peter Wright to win 6-5.
Silly boy.
If he uses the right equipment, Peter Wright wins. If he uses the wrong equipment, he gets beat. So what equipment does he use? So I've got to second guess 2 things on this.
Do you run the what darts is Peter Wright throwing account?
No. What you mean the one that was tried to shut down? I mean, sorry.
Did you see the PDC tweet of the other week?
No.
Wright was having a conversation pre-match with Humphries, I think it was. And they recorded it when, here you go, at what dart, not Peter Wright. This will help for this week.
I'm a fan of that, to be fair.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm going for a Peter Wright win. I'm going to go 6-4 to Snakebite. So, from your predictions, your finalists and winner for night 9 in Belfast.
Philip, can I just take this point to ask you to write down whatever you've just said and send it to our WhatsApp, because you are currently missing 5 of the last 6 weeks in our prediction league and are absolutely miles behind. And I've given you multiple deadlines, then extended them, and you still haven't provided those numbers. If by next Monday on this show, because the chat room will hold you accountable here, you have not gone back to the other shows and found your results and sent them to me, you will not be getting any points for them. Despite the fact you predicted on this show.
I think that we go one further.
Let me write them down.
I think we go one further, and next week we bring up the league table as of where we are, including this Thursday, and we'll show it with only 6 weeks to go. So then the pressure is on Phil to either be on about 11 points because he's only accumulated about 2 weeks, or the rest, so we can shame him if he doesn't send them.
Right, what weeks am I missing?
And also, Graham, I could go and get them, but that defeats the object because everybody else in the team has managed to follow the very, very basic instruction of send them into the WhatsApp and in a particular order so that when I add them into the table, they're the right way around.
Yeah, but I'm busy.
I'm busy. That's why I'm not going to find your results. If you don't want to play, just say it.
Right, what weeks am I missing?
3, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
3, 5, 6, 7.
You have literally contributed week 1, week 2, and week 4, and are currently on 12 points.
How many points am I adrift? Missing.
You are 30
weeks.
points behind the leader.
How many?
30 behind the leader.
Oh, don't worry. By the time these have come in, I should be 30 points clear.
Yeah, I bet you will be.
No, I'll play fair.
Although it might be a couple more. Lee did send me the results I'm missing, but I haven't bothered to add them to the table yet. Can you just star them in the chat somewhere or reply to them in a bit?
So I'm doing
not right
double
now,
the
not right now, because I've just started the chain of the rest of the team sending their predictions in as well. So
To be fair, I'm sure I predicted week 3 now.
Sorry to bore everyone. What weights do I need to do, Jack?
It was week 5 and 8.
To be fair, I'm going to put that on screen. I like that. No, Bob, I'll play it fair. I'll go back and get mine out. Right, so winners and runners up.
Humphries wins again.
Michael Smith beats Nathan Aspinall in the final.
Gerwin Price beats Luke Humphries. Robert, thank you very much again. I'll start that question. I've started it. We'll touch on Anderson shorter in the roundup. Right, so that's the Premier League done. Let's go to a week in darts. And first of all, let's go to the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard from Raymond van Barneveld, moaning that Luke Littler hasn't texted him back. What the fuck is that all about?
Child.
If there wasn't professional sportsmen, people would be questioning why he's annoyed that a 17-year-old hasn't texted him back.
Explains his first divorce. What? Where'd that bloody sofa come from? Yeah. The petulance and entitlement of Barney is the reason that he lost an awful lot of fans right before that first retirement. That comment this week is the sort of shit that is going to do that again.
It's just ridiculous. It's the most self-centered comment I've ever heard in my life.
I hope, because of the comment, I hope that Luke Littler goes on the wind-up with this, in whatever style it may be. When he's asked, he's going to be asked about it at some point, and he a Raymond who comment, or but in the right tone, not to be disrespectful as a joke, or when they meet on stage, or if they've got a. I hope he does, because it's
it's for you.
Yeah, it's. Sorry, I was too busy playing FIFA.
I'd seen that article as Littler. I'd have texted going, "Hi Raymond, just want to say you look absolutely fabulous in that Chocomel advert."
Or he's texting back. Sorry, whose number's this?
Exactly. I would have put, who is this? Who is this? Question mark. Screenshotted it and put it on my socials. Obviously, I did the number.
New number. Who this?
Yeah. Honestly, I was just like, what is this all about?
Or send him a signed shirt. You know, there's different ways he does.
Sorry for upsetting you, Mr. Raymond, sir.
I don't know how much we can really talk about it. It's just stupid.
It is stupid. And look, the argument that he's always on his phone, right? It is so easy. My phone is non-comparable to Luke's at all. But I have screen time of over 10 hours a day. And I miss shit like that. I miss the odd text here or there all the bloody time.
Correct.
Like, it is possible. In fact, being on your phone so much makes it more possible.
100%. It's just bonkers.
I used to hate people phoning me, and now I just phone people because I can't be asked to wait around for a text. Because by the time I get a reply, I'm busy doing something else, and I can't be asked to have the conversation. Unless it's Lee asking about his wedding video, then I just ignore him.
Look, it was, one of those. Motor Super Series. Congratulations to the Duff man, Neil Duff, knocking out the Series 6 champion Scott Taylor, and he saved the best till last. Great final.
Yeah, and it did seem that back into that position and being Champions Week. Obviously, after the last one clashing with the seniors, it'll be good to see him have a real go at a Champions Week. And well deserved, Mr. Duff.
It's about time Neil Duff started to show his quality at the Super Series. He's got better and better as he's been there, but he will be one of the first to admit that it hasn't gone his way. For someone that walks into that room as a world champion, with the expectation levels on himself and from others around him, he hasn't achieved what he would have wanted to achieve in Portsmouth. But he's won 3 weeks in a row now that he's been there. Oh, no, he didn't win Champions Week, did he? But he won a qualifying week to get into Champions Week. He didn't play Champions Week. No, he didn't, because it was seniors. So he won a week to qualify for that, didn't play it, then won the double start week, and has now won again. That's 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
The only other person to do that is Luke.
Yeah.
Did he win 3 in a row? Yeah, because he won week champions, didn't he?
He won 4 in a row, didn't he?
Yeah,
he won back to back, so he's won 4 in a row.
Yeah.
Well, that throws the gauntlet down. Neil's got to win Champions Week to level it up.
Or pull out of it and win a different week.
Was any of Luke's wins at a second attempt? Or was they win Champions Week, win Champions Week?
Yeah, and then he had 2 attempts in the last block and didn't do either.
Yeah.
So back beat him and can't remember.
Yeah. Also, there was a question asked earlier, which I deliberately starred. We'll bring it up. I don't think Phil would. He has been asked. I don't think he has been recently, but he has been. But I don't think he'd ever accept it. Do you?
No, when it was first launched and then the seniors became a thing, I was quite hopeful of seeing him participate. But I think that ship has sailed. If Phil Taylor is anywhere near Portsmouth these days, he's either in an exhibition or he's going on a cruise.
Yeah, I don't think it. Well, I'd love it to, but I don't see it. Also, we were asked about Gary Anderson's injury. Yeah, first we haven't really talked about the injury. Forced to pull out of the last Pro Tour mid-game, and we were watching it. God, he looked in absolute agony, didn't he?
He didn't look good, did he? It was sort of like, if I fully extend it, it's going to hurt, which is strange for a shoulder injury. Normally that's at the elbow or the wrist, and players get a little bit tetchy or uncomfortable going the full extension. But yeah, he certainly didn't look great to walk away. Hopefully it's not too serious. He wasn't wincing. He wasn't carried off for a medical timeout or anything like that. It's like, this isn't for me. I need to go and protect this. Hopefully a bit of rest and recuperation on that, and he'll be absolutely fine, because the darts Gary Anderson is producing right now are sensational.
I have spoken to him. He doesn't think it's too bad. He think he had a bit of a trapped nerve and maybe just needed some realignment. He may have been out slightly. He doesn't think it's too bad. We'll see if he's in Munich this weekend for the Euro Tour starting on Saturday. So he won't play till the Sunday.
Happy Easter.
I fully expect him not to be in Risa for Euro Tour number 3. But fully expect to see.
Talking of injuries, obviously the show was last Monday. We have missed the Pro Tour from Tuesday.
Yeah.
Dave Chisnall back in the winner's circle, but against Dirk van Dijvenbode, who has not fully recovered from his injury, but it's fantastic to see Dirk playing at that level once again. Good runs for Daryl Gurney and Ross Smith to the semi-finals. Connor Scott without a tour card, making it all the way to the quarter-finals. Karel Sedlacek in that as well. Danny Janssen. Last year, we had this debate quite often about who was the best player in the world without a tour card. Neil Duff's performances in Portsmouth might keep him in the conversation right now, but I don't think there are many saying it's anyone other than Danny Janssen. Dominating the Challenge Tour, looking pretty good when he's getting called up to the Pro Tours. Didn't go all his own way at the Super Series, granted. On debut, though, and that can take some getting used to and some adjusting. He looked very, very good. Van Gerwen, a run to the last 16, much better from him. Dom Taylor as well. Johnny Clayton, back-to-back last 16s over the weekend. Leighton Bennett losing to Ross Smith in the last 16 as well. There's not too much to say on the Pro Tour. The story there is Chisnall winning again and Van Dijvenbode looking good.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, the Super Series have announced we are having a ladies' week. Looking forward. Oh yeah, we've known. We've known for a while, and had to keep it hush. I'm buzzing for that, to be fair.
Yes.
Bo is scheduled to play, so fingers crossed that happens. I was going to say something and I've forgotten. Connor, I'm going to try and go to a couple of Euro tours after the Premier League. It's almost impossible to do them during the Premier League. To be fair, look, he's a friend of the show, so we will talk about this. I want to talk more about Matt's horrific travel diary, and I am thoroughly looking forward to his vlog of his trip dropping tomorrow. You thought he was brutal on the Scottish Open. This one could be absolutely up there.
I haven't watched the Scottish Open yet. I know it's not dropping until tomorrow. I've got a 2.5-hour flight tomorrow, and I'd love to have downloaded this one to watch without internet. Yeah. I've been following his social media posts this weekend and those of Zach Thornton, who he travels with. Very, very interesting video and week ahead.
Yeah.
If updates or anything to go by, it's
I'll be honest. I've managed the Student Nationals, which took place this weekend, by the way. Good to see that tournament return. It's called the Big Weekender over a few days. Dan Outwin winning the singles. He looks fantastic talent from Northumbria. And Sheffield Hallam beating my old team Trent in the final of the team event. Where were we?
Matt said that.
Yeah, because
I've managed student events where we have a round robin, so it makes it worthwhile for everybody to travel, and we lose a quarter of the field. To rock up and play a 108-man round robin, when you've got seeds in the tournament anyway, for 108 players to progress to the knockout is absolute lunacy.
It was funny though. Yeah, I love Matt to bits. I can't wait for him to go on this. Question on Mark. The Women's Series is a special week, mate. So no, it won't be a Champions Week spot. It's just a standalone Women's Week, the same as the Double Trouble one was. Obviously Luke Littler was over in Sweden with Wayne and everyone, and I know the organizer, the guy that's put it on over there, talk about pulling one. He booked Luke to go and do this in around November last year.
That's a significantly lower price.
Cha-ching! They've done all right there.
Put it this way, I don't think Luke will be at our next live lounge live.
Yeah.
Why not?
He may have outgrown talking to me and you about Ribenas next to Colin Osborne.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I ended up being his waiter as well. I'm sure I had to bring him over his waiter. My position has remained exactly the same in that situation.
Yeah. Tom, we've announced the announcement of the Women's Week came out on Sunday. The groups haven't been announced yet, but the week has, which I'm looking forward to the Women's Week, to be fair.
So
have we missed anything in a week in darts? But get your questions in for question time as well. Just one from the weekend club. I know we spoke about it. It didn't quite break the rules at the weekend, but there were a couple of ones that were close to perhaps asking questions about the new point rule.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, they didn't go over, but there was one game in particular where it was getting close.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to have seen what Paul would have done in that.
Was it not TD rather than ref?
No, discretion of tournament director or referee.
All right. Would be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that conversation has been had, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, no, but to be fair, I haven't seen anyone come close until the weekend where there was one game where it was like it was borderline.
Yeah. Would have been interesting.
Yeah, Steve. Oh, so I haven't spoke to Steve since the tavern. People asking about his recovery. When he was at the tavern, he was still on crutches, and he had to be on them for another 8 weeks.
Can't confirm this 100%, but I believe he's had another setback.
As I say, I know he was hobbling at the tavern, and he said he was on them for another 8 weeks at least.
Yeah, I believe there was another setback in that recovery process.
Yeah. Tom, Bo's been asked. I don't know if she has accepted the invite for a normal week. She's definitely playing in the Women's Week, and she has been asked for a normal week. How are we doing, Weekly Darts Cast? I'm guessing it's Lau. Hope you are good, mate. Thank you very much for your kind words as well yesterday. Again, sensationalism. When this dropped, that Luke wasn't in the Nordic Darts Masters, you'd think he'd just been dropped from next year's Premier League.
Well, we love all the people that don't normally cover darts using his name for clickbait.
Yeah. Basically, he already had a family engagement booked in, and it clashed with that. It's big players miss World Series events. We all know MVG's not going to Australia this year. It happens.
It's quite amusing that I tweeted Luke Little punished for missing Pro Tour by being dropped from TV Major, and then 2 hours later, one of the organisations has actually written a very, very similar headline. Absolute carnage.
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny. I haven't seen Brian Moran's new shirt. I'll have a look after the show, Lee. Is the Riddler got a little funky shirt, has he?
Where would we see it? On his socials, I guess. it's not just being on crutches. I think it's to do with the amount of weight that Steve's allowed to put on that side.
Well, the difference as well is Adam Smith-Neil had a broken foot. Steve West has had a hip operation.
Steve West on his hip, so that's rotation, standing, comfort.
I will ask Steve West if he would like to come on for you. I'll make it a note here. I will WhatsApp him after the show and see if he wants to come on. Devin Peterson debut. I thought he got better. I don't think he played particularly well on the Thursday, and I'm sure he'd admit that. But I thought he got better on the Friday.
Yeah, said some really good words about the environment and the competition as a whole. As I'm sure he'll be one that we see back after that Friday performance. Tough group, very tough group.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, and the Group A today was incredible.
Right. The booking fairy has done their work.
I felt for Michael Burgoyne today because he's actually played some good stuff and not won a game because of the standard of everyone else.
It is good.
Just touch on the shirts. Yeah. The Dart players' shirts in question, when one of them was doing it, I quite liked it, but now they're all kind of the same. It doesn't quite have the same impact with everyone doing it, does it?
I guess, though, if you don't do it, then you're missing out. I get both arguments here. I think it looks crap, if I'm being completely honest. 6 of them in green trying to appease the fans has meant nobody's been appeased, but it just doesn't work. But I guess that if you allow Peter Wright to do it on his own, or who else has done it a bit more this year? Aspinall, shall we say, as the two? Or Michael Smith. If you allow someone else to do it, then you miss out on that, and they might get the benefit of that. If you're not following along, then you could be on the receiving end of it from the crowd, and it just looks nasty.
The surprise one was Rob Cross's. Just a random one. He hasn't done it anywhere else. But I've got to say, I actually thought Rob Cross's green looked better than the teal colour he has anyway.
No. Green is like my least favourite colour. I'm 29 years old, talking about favourite colours at 10 o'clock on a Monday night. I can't stand the colour green anyway. Good work, me.
You've done well there, Gob. Oh, green.
So it just looked a bit cringy anyway, but yeah, not for me.
Very cringy. Very cringy.
Yeah.
Van Gerwen's been doing it for years.
If someone doesn't follow up in question time now and say, "Oh, what is your favourite colour?" Missing a great shout.
22 seconds and then we are out of it.
It will never happen, but I would love a rogue Michael Van Gerwen shirt just to rock up and replace the green for orange in Rotterdam for one night. It will never happen, but I would love it to.
Yes, you, sir. I'm 29, you cheeky shit.
But again, plenty going on this week. We've got some interviews to come out this week. We've got Murph and Phil Taylor to come this week. And then, of course, the Premier League, as always, bring back the pink one. Yeah, that would work. I'm still reminded about that when he lost to Aaron in the final. He told me to 0-1-2-1 do one.
Aaron Monk happened.
That's still my favourite tweet of last year.
Aaron Monk happened.
Yeah, but he didn't even reply to the person that asked the question, was the thing. He replied to himself. Dart players and social media.
John picking up in the morning.
Yeah. Johnny, email me or send me your address and I'll get one in the post to you. Hopefully it should get there in time. So yeah, but thank you very much as always, everyone. Right, actually, we'll make an executive decision on air. Chat room, do you want us, because the Euro Tour this week is Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Do you want us to go Monday as normal during the Euro Tour final session, or do you want us to go on Tuesday?
Don't look at me. I won't be here. Tuesday. Good decision.
2 Tuesdays so far. Tuesday.
Yes, good decision, peoples.
Looks like we're going Tuesday. Looks like we're going Tuesday next week then, everyone.
And my faith in democracy is restored. You're not all as dumb as you look.
Right, everyone. We will go on Tuesday next week then, so you can all enjoy the Euro Tour on PDC TV. Everyone, thank you very much. This will be available as an audio only in the morning if you want to watch it back, or of course on YouTube. But thank you very much as always. Been a tremendous week. If you haven't yet, we are on all social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Threads, you name it, we're on it. We've even got some on some obscure ones as well, just to make sure. But here on YouTube as well, if you can drop us a like and subscribe, everyone, massively appreciate your support. But I've been Phil Bars, Jack Garwood, Lee Boyce. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It is us signing out, and we'll see you all very, very soon.
Bye.